year has been absolutely crazy. I experienced my own moment of being cancelled by a large segment of vegan Twitter for this spicy take. I used to think that you can't be racist against white people. Get ready for a rambling rant about this experience with cancel culture, which I think is absolutely real and hurts the most vulnerable people in society. As well, I'm going to be ranting about people being reactionary, forgetting about nuance, and general life story stuff as always. All the cancel culture crowd saw was that tweet and judged me off of that and took it out of context and didn't look at the bigger picture, drawing conclusions about my character and beliefs and assuming I'm lying about being mixed. Have they not seen that I've consistently called out racism and written about music from a social justice angle for 5 years? And I guess they're selectively seeing what they want to see, and that is a common cognitive bias. I have never been a conservative, at worst, a bit of an anti-SJW edgelord, but still a progressive one, who supported equal rights, strong social safety nets, and getting money out of politics. I've always been an anti-war pacifist. Even then, I was not a fan of the corporate Democrats who threw the working class under a bus in favor of corporations, and I loathed the Republicans who were intolerant of different ethnic backgrounds. And honestly, I'd rather have someone who's a bit un-PC, but will fight for me, rather than some woke skull liberal who cares more about petty things and will just side with fake woke capitalism instead of liberation. As I saw the anti-SJW side become more conservative with their worship of Daddy Trump and thinking he could do no wrong, I had to dip. This isn't for me. Where's the place for those of us leftists who don't like identity politics and have an edgy sense of humor? Well, I found that place watching YouTubers like The Amazing Atheist, Kyle Kalinske, and Shoe on Head. They're YouTubers I've watched for a while now, and I consider them to be some of my biggest influences. Unlike people like Dave Rubin and Ariel Scarcella, I didn't leave the left and sell out my core values because some people are mean to me online. I'm not going to say fuck it, I'm going to go fuck over poor people, including myself. Now let's go back to what I said, that I no longer believe that you can't be racist against white people. Ironically, many of those canceling me were white themselves, although there were some people who weren't white who agreed. I just thought it was hilarious that these white people used to follow me and will scream about listening to people of color, suddenly start silencing me because I guess I'm the wrong kind of person of color. I am nobody's pet, prop, or token Hispanic. That is incredibly dehumanizing and removing my agency as an independent human being. I'm a human being with my own experiences and opinions, not someone you can stick an agenda on. I think it's two-faced of them to support me until I express an opinion that they don't like, and one that isn't harming anyone at that. It's one thing if I express views similar to that of Candace Owens or Lauren Chen, but I didn't say we were better off under Jim Crow or that non-white and mixed people aren't oppressed. Both are very real takes said by both of them. There are some ways where my opinions are different from SJWs, but I think we ultimately have the same goal. I don't think these SJWs canceling me have bad intentions or are evil. They might think that about me, but anyone who knows me knows who I am. I can't make everyone happy. Not even pizza can make everyone happy, because some of us are lactose intolerant or gluten intolerant. Here's where I differ from those canceling me. Besides my belief that racism is racism no matter who it's against, and that people of color can be racist too, I believe that instead of focusing on privilege, I'd rather frame it as groups being disadvantaged and victimized by bias and discrimination. Why do I think this way? First off, I'm a communications major, and I remember learning about framing being important in your messaging. You can say the same message, but word it and frame it in two different ways, and you can get a completely different response. As a leftist, I want to win people over, not just preach to the choir. That's how we make a difference and win. We gotta win over the fence-sitters, the working class 2 times Obama voters who supported Bernie, but then defected to Trump in 2016. Let's get out of the circle jerk and plant some seeds. You can't change someone's mind overnight, but they might be won over time. I know I've changed a few of my friends' minds on some issues through discussing it non-judgmentally and explaining in a rational way why I think the way I do. But when the SJWs yell at you, jump to conclusions, and make assumptions about you, that's not going to be a productive conversation. The people on the receiving end will just get defensive and shut down and put up their blockers. Everyone ends up frustrated, and nobody wins. I understand the white guilt. I used to downplay the percentage white I was because I was ashamed. However, what is that going to do for non-white and mixed people? Nothing. You're just giving yourselves pats on the back and looking like Daenerys in this scene of Game of Thrones. You look like a fool. Stop hating yourself for things you can't control. Do actual productive things, like voting in elections, running on progressive platforms, donating to causes that help non-white and mixed communities, just being there for your non-white and mixed friends. Here's why I use the disadvantage frame rather than the privilege frame. 90% of people are straight, right? Is being straight really that much of a privilege if that's a huge majority of the population? Or is it that being bi or gay makes you disadvantaged in society, and you will be victim of biases and discrimination? I would argue the latter. I don't want to bring straight people down. What I want to do is elevate gay and bisexual people. Is there such a thing as Gentile privilege because Gentiles cannot experience anti-Semitism? A Gentile is someone who isn't a Jew, and, well, that's like 99% of people right there, and it lumps together all kinds of people who have totally different experiences. To divide groups into us and them oversimplifies the issue, and that is why I don't like the term person of color. But I use it because there's not really that many better terms than saying non-white and mixed. It can be a bit cumbersome. I believe white privilege is very much real, but the reason I don't scream about it, and I frame it as rather non-white and mixed individuals being at a disadvantage in society, is because I find that people generally get defensive when they are told they are privileged, and assuming all white people have it better than all non-white people is oversimplifying things and ignores one of the things that ultimately divides us: class. I believe in uniting people and creating a multiracial working class coalition. Corporations will ignore class and labor issues too, while preaching racial equality. Why? Because it's easy to support racial equality. It doesn't threaten the status quo. Black and brown faces in high places don't change much. I mean, look at America after Obama. I'm not alone in the left for being disappointed in him. Here's an example of how reducing everything to skin color or ethnicity doesn't tell the entire story. I'm mixed, and my great-grandmother was white. You'd think that my great-grandmother was extremely privileged over me because she wasn't bisexual, disabled, or an immigrant. However, here's the truth about her. She was Venezuelan, born in a town near the Colombian border, known for farming. No first world privilege. An orphan who was denied an education and forced out of school at the age of 6 or 7. Her aunt treated her like a slave and forced her to clean the house all day. She cut all ties and ran away to Caracas at the age of 16 without very much money. She had to work for everything she had and raise her 6 children basically as a single mother because her first and second husband left her. She essentially adopted 2 of her grandchildren, so it was like she had 8 kids. She survived off a small pension at the end of her life, and my family would send her money periodically to help her out. Was my great-grandmother a privileged white woman? Not exactly. Honestly, I think she would have rather had my life since my childhood was financially comfortable, I have a good relationship with my family, and I was able to get an education. And of course, race relations discourse is very Americano-centric. I've had white Americans who've never been to Europe try to explain what Europe is like to me. I've lived in Ireland since 2016. I think I know how racism here isn't always white versus non-white. There's definitely prejudice against different European groups, and it's not all kumbaya like, white nationalists will like to think and what some woke crowd would like to think. If we define racism as experiencing institutional oppression, what about the Holocaust, the Armenian and Greek genocides, Holodomor in Ukraine, and the potato famine in Ireland? Is that not institutionalized oppression? Are Jews, Armenians, Greeks, Ukrainians, and Irish people now oppressed POC? Or is it possible that white people can experience institutionalized oppression as well? Pick one. Sometimes I wish I wasn't mixed. I used to think like this as a kid, and there are times I admit I still think like this. I feel like I'm an island. I feel like I don't fit in with anyone or anything. I can't properly speak on anything. I'm never enough for anyone. No, you can't be mixed because you're pale. You can't tan. Well, you're not really mixed. No, you're not white enough for us. You have messy curly black hair and your skin's kind of yellow. You're not Hispanic because your last name isn't. You're part indigenous? Yeah, right, and I'm the Queen of England. That's not really your grandmother. You're definitely adopted. You're mixed, but you're ugly. Mixed people are all supposed to be gods and goddesses, and you're ugly. Maybe I should have been living a lie and denied being half Hispanic and hidden my family and insisted that I'm white. But if I did, I know the cancel culture crowd would be out for my blood because I'm whitewashing myself. And that's racist. I can't win. Freddie Mercury said it well in Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't want to die. I sometimes wish I'd never been born at all.